Recorded Books presents Madison's Militia, The Hidden History of the Second Amendment by Carl T. Bogus. Narrated by Alan Peterson. Introduction. A nightmare had been haunting Carolinians. In the fall of 1734, readers of the South Carolina Gazette learned of 3 separate revolts on sailing ships transporting Africans to bondage in the New World. In all 3 incidents, the Africans killed the ship's captain, and in 2 of the incidents, the Africans took full control of the ship and its cargo. A few months later, the paper reported that black slaves had revolted on St. John in the Virgin Islands and entirely massacred all of the white people on that island, consisting of about 200 families, and were very inhuman in the executions and murders. These incidents were more than concerning. They were downright frightening. In a colony, or province as South Carolina was then formerly known, in which nearly 2/3 of the residents were enslaved blacks. The nightmare turned real in the still dark, early morning of Sunday, September 9, 1739, on the banks of the Stono River, about 15 miles due west of Charleston, or as it was then called, Charlestown. About 20 slaves broke into Hutchinson's store, which was probably a barn-like building serving as both a general store selling foodstuffs, clothing and shoes, tools and other goods, and a warehouse for rice, bound for export from the docks in Charleston. The slaves' leaders were named Jemmy and Cato. No one today knows much about them, but according to his descendants, Cato's masters had taught him to read. That was not commonplace. Whites were afraid that reading could give slaves ideas. These slaves had not come to steal food, drink, or clothes. They had come for guns and ammunition. They decapitated 2 white men who were, for reasons unknown, in the closed store, and put their severed heads on the front steps, publicly announcing for all to see that they were in open rebellion. The armed band of slaves marched west on Pond's Road. Some speculate they were heading for Spanish Florida. During the preceding year, Spain issued a royal edict promising freedom to escaped slaves who made their way to Florida. But Gracia Real de Santa Teresa de Mosé, the northern outpost where Spain established a community of free blacks, was about 275 miles away. If the slaves' primary goal was to get there, one assumes they would have moved as quickly and surreptitiously as possible. That was not what they did. On 8 occasions, they left Pond's Road to invade the homes of plantation owners and other colonists. Once they were driven off, and once a slave hid his master and told the rebels he was not at home. The rebels pillaged the other 6 houses, set them ablaze, and killed everyone inside. A body count totaling 40 slave owners and family members before the day was through. The targets were not indiscriminate. The rebels attacked the home of the largest plantation owner in the area, and those of 2 other major plantation owners too. But they passed by the home of at least one other very large plantation owner. They attacked the homes of 2 justices of the peace, but when they passed Wallace's Tavern, they left the proprietor alone because, they said, he was a good man and kind to his slaves. We can confidently conclude the rebels were not trying to reach freedom in Spanish Florida, because they did not try to conceal their whereabouts. Just the opposite. They beat drums, flew banners, and called out "Liberty" to other slaves, exhorting them to join the insurrection. Their ranks swelled to somewhere between 60 and 100. They had come from 8 different plantations. No one knows how large the rebellion would have grown if not for a bizarre coincidence. A group of 5 white men, on their way to Charleston for the South Carolina Assembly's new legislative session, happened to ride within eyesight of the rebels. One member of the group was Dr. William Bull II, the lieutenant governor of South Carolina, and one of the province's officials most concerned about the potential for slave insurrections. In a letter just 4 months earlier, Bull had warned that the colony's Negroes, which were their chief support,
Sample complete. Ready to continue?